Some major WWE free agency news as Ricochet is leaving the company. This according to a new report from PW Insider. We're going to talk about what exactly that report says, why Ricochet could be leaving and potentially joining All Elite Wrestling, and what could be next for WWE as more free agents are just on the horizon. All that, much more coming up right here in this video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, so let's talk about the report that has the wrestling world on fire tonight. From PW Insider, quote, Ricochet has given notice that he intends to leave WWE when his current contract expires this summer. Ricochet is expected to be written out of WWE storylines very soon in advance of the contract expiration. That is, again, according to PW Insider, one of the best sources for pro wrestling news. Them and Fightful I put right up there as top of the line, reputable when it comes to especially things like contract news. So the fact that they are reporting it in such a matter-of-fact way definitely should give everyone pause, because this is a crazy turn of events as I just dropped my pen. That's how crazy it is. Ricochet, a few weeks ago, right, we had reported that his contract was coming up, that, you know, negotiations were expected. And one of the things that people had kept saying was like, well, he's not going to leave WWE. There's no way, especially given his relationship with his partner, Samantha Irwin. Like there's no way that he's going to leave WWE. Well, I think this kind of proves the point that we don't know these people. We don't know what their intentions are. We don't know what their motivations are. We don't know the conversations they're having, you know, behind their closed doors. I am sure that Ricochet, before making this reported decision, consulted his partner. I'm sure that Ricochet has a plan for what is next. I'm sure that Ricochet knows that outside of WWE even, there is the chance for him to make a lot of money, have some fantastic matches, and make some historic wrestling moments. So before we get into a frenzy of, oh my God, what's going on? Well, this is a shocking move. We need to remember that the entire landscape of professional wrestling and professional wrestling free agency is completely different from where it was just 5 years ago. AEW, by virtue of just being there as a major wrestling promotion with major financial backing, with a major television deal just on the horizon, with the potential to highlight more stars with more hours of television than they currently have, you're going to see people like Ricochet and others at least consider joining that company or consider life outside of WWE, because let's be honest here as well. Ricochet hasn't exactly been positioned as a world beater in WWE. He hasn't exactly been positioned as someone who is a threat in the main event. And that's not me saying that Ricochet should have been put to the moon and he should have been the world champion all right off the bat. But when you have someone as athletic as Ricochet, generationally, right? Will Ospreay even said this in some recent comments. This dude is like our generation's version of Rey Mysterio. That's how athletic he is. Whether you like it or not, that is a fact. That is like there are some things, right, that are you can debate on. It's just a fact. He is the most athletic and God-gifted person as far as making the wildest, wackiest, and most insane spots look easy as hell. And the fact that the most that WWE did with him was like an Intercontinental Championship run, and then a really good little thing that he did with Brock Lesnar in the Rumble, and they never followed up on it. Yet here we are, and he's a free agent. I wonder why. Look, again, we don't know the motivations behind this. I'm sure when and if Ricochet talks about this, we will learn like exactly what was behind this, but we need to remember this too. There are like some people out there, and Bryan Danielson made some comments earlier today that we covered in a previous video, where he said that, like, you know, he prefers wrestling. He prefers AEW because it's a wrestling first product. And this is not me saying necessarily Ricochet is going to go to AEW. He could very well make a boatload of money going around doing what Mustafa Ali is doing, going on the indies, having a fantastic run, wrestling everywhere, getting his name out there. He could make a boatload of money doing that. You can make a boatload of money as a premier talent in New Japan Pro Wrestling. An industry and a company, excuse me, that is in dire need of top American stars. You could do so much with Ricochet in TNA. You could do so much, and that could open the door for him to maybe even do spots in WWE, given the relationship that WWE and TNA have. There's so much that is possible with the landscape of free agency, and more than that's possible than ever for wrestling free agents. And that's the best part about it. That's what's exciting about someone like Ricochet being a free agent. You don't know where he's going to pop up, but one thing you do know is when he does, you're going to see something special. And there is nothing more special that Ricochet could do than going toe-to-toe with arguably the best wrestler in the entire world right now, Will Bloody Ospreay. Will talked about it on a recent podcast appearance, and I think he may have willed, pardon the pun, it into existence. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet back in 2015, 2016 had everyone talking. It was a match that if I made a 25 matches to watch before you die list, that match would be on there. Not because it was the greatest wrestling match of all time, but because it was not only just one of the most spectacular wrestling matches I've ever seen as far as spectacle goes and everything. It was like a bit of a turning point in the conversation, right, about wrestling. And you know, what it is, what it's going to be, what is acceptable, what's actually entertaining, right? If we have the potential for Will Ospreay and Ricochet and these versions of Will Ospreay and Ricochet to run it back, buckle up, because we're about to see professional wrestling artistry. These are two of the best in-ring performers there are in the entire world. And if you couldn't tell by Will Ospreay's comments earlier this month, I think both of them would be more than motivated to put on a match that none of us would ever forget. And if that alone is what we get from this Ricochet run, it is leaps and bounds more important. And I'm sorry to say this, it's leaps and bounds more important and more meaningful than anything he did in WWE. Being the Speed Champion isn't going to cut it. Having an Intercontinental Championship, all right. It's just the truth. It's the real take truth. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the comment section below. What do you think about Ricochet? Where should he end up? Where should he go? Where do you want to see him? Who do you want to see him wrestle? All those questions are now up in the air, but I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section. Also, be sure to smash that like button like there's no tomorrow. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.